I'm glad you're spending time with me because you could be doing 100 other things. So I'm Nathan, you're you, and whether you're joining me on Nathan Morris Music on YouTube or on Facebook or wherever it is, I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Thanks for following me on all the socials. And a couple of announcements really quickly. If you like the show Suits, I'm sure you do, because it was streamed 57 billion plus minutes the last half of 23 on Netflix. I covered the theme song. It's at radio, and it releases tomorrow. You can pre-save it in the description down there. But we're talking about breweries. I can't say the word. I have to think about it. Distilleries and vineyards that are all haunted. But before we do, it's important for me to acknowledge the memory of my cousin, Kathy, who passed away, and my cousins, Corbin and Logan and Shelby and Ray, my Aunt Margaret, everyone who loves Kathy. I am honored to share her memorial. I want to start the live with this. And to all of you who have experienced, are experiencing, will experience in the near future, the heaviness, the weight of loss, of death, my love and sympathies to you, because death and suffering allows for us to have this community, this perspective, because we're able to recognize, to realize that we need each other. And anyway, please lift Kathy's children up in prayer. And if you call it prayer, maybe it's well wishes, maybe it's positive thoughts. I turn to prayer, and I appreciate whatever it is that you turn to for positivity. And may my cousin, may Kathy's memory be forever eternal. And I would love to read, if I may, her tribute, which Shelby, my cousin, prepared. It's her daughter. And Kathy, was born on December the 9th to my Aunt Margaret. Kat was a beloved English teacher at Apollo High School. In past years, she also taught at Owensboro Catholic High School and McLean County High School. While teaching was her passion, Kat was also a talented artist who enjoyed crafting gifts for friends and making sure her classroom was a fun and creative space for her students. She had a quirky sense of humor she got from her mother and passed down to her daughters. If there was an opportunity for a bad pun to be made, rest assured, it would not go unsaid. As an English teacher, Kat always had a special place in her heart for the writings of Shakespeare, Edgar Allan Poe, and so on. She never lost her inner child. She had a love for Disney, Pixar, and Alice in Wonderland throughout her adulthood. These traits will live on through her daughters. Not only an artist and a teacher, Kat was also a loving caretaker for her two sons, her nephew, and her excitable, I heard dogs steal. She was a best friend to them all. She is survived by her husband, Skylar, her daughters, Ray and Shelby, her sons, Logan and Corbin, her nephew, Isaiah, her grandchildren, her mother, her stepfather, her father, as well as numerous aunts, uncles, and cousins. Good night, good night. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night till it be morrow. William Shakespeare. Cheers to Kathy and her memory. May it be eternal. Thanks for letting me share that with you. We leave a mark on this world. We'll be remembered for something, and choose good. All right, we're going to talk about 10 hauntings, breweries. Don't make fun of my words. Can you say that word? Let me know in the chat. Distilleries and vineyards. All right, here we go. We're talking about the winery at Margam Manor, first and foremost. I think it's Margam. It looks like it. I'm sounding it out. This place, located just off the coast of Lake Ontario in upstate New York. Have you been there? Let me know. Was transformed into a winery in 2003 by entrepreneur Margot Bittner. Also a bed and breakfast. Bed and breakfasts are so quaint. And the 21st century is hardly when this magnificent manor began, however, because the property was purchased in 1834. Rumor has it that Merritt, his wife, this is the original, and a son and a plethora of other throughout the years couldn't bear to leave the beauty of the place even after death. So therefore, of course, their ghost investigators find that they're there. Again, I still don't understand. It's like, that must be them because I heard a wind chime. I feel like as I talk about ghost paranormal, and you're like, why are you talking about this stuff? People ask me, my car's not locked. That's weird. That's weird. I just got a notification. People ask me, what do you do for fun? And I always like to do research into the unknown. Why, when, how, what? Because we love to answer why. Why does that happen? Why does that happen? So I just love World War II history, crime podcasts, unsolved crimes, paranormal stuff. So that's why we talk about it all the time. Because otherwise, I'll just sit and talk about music, like my song that releases tomorrow. Okay. Examples include electrical equipment malfunctioning, objects getting knocked over out of nowhere, and sightings of the ethereal Merritt family wandering in the grounds. Okay, so there's my answer right there. So all these things happen, and then they obviously probably have photographs of the Merritt family, and maybe the sightings are people that look like them, so they must be the Merritt family. Let me know in the chat. Have you been to upstate New York? Have you been to Margin Manor? Have you been to the winery? Do you like wine? Who are you? Let me know in the chat. I am glad you're here, by the way. I really am. Thank you for being here, and thanks for all the support that you show with the podcast You'll Die Trying. You can stream the podcast wherever you stream podcasts. My single, last time, it's 21 at Billboard. It went up a spot. That's awesome. Can't wait for you to hear Greenback Boogie. You can pre-save it as well. We're going to Jura Whiskey. There's also a Jura Coffee, where it grinds the beans, and every time I use it, I go, Jura Brew Coffee for you. The Scottish Jura Island can be found on the same longitude as Glasgow. Scotland, by the way. Yeah. All right. One of its largest villages, Craighouse, can only claim a population of just over 200. Interesting. Very small, in other words. The famous Jura single malt whiskey distillery can be found in Craighouse, and their fine spirits are found in stores across the world. Alcohol wasn't always freely brewed, and of course, there was a prohibition politician named Laird Archibald Campbell. Sounds very Scottish. What? Oh, okay. Laird claimed that a ghostly woman visited his bedside one night and demanded that booze be once again brewed. This was in 1781. Legend has it that he was like, okay, a year later, he opened up the distillery himself. Superstition is a powerful thing, and the 1700s aren't the only source of said ghostly activity. There's tons of stuff that happens here, like an old school teacher that I just want to know. What are your thoughts? I just want to know, how do they deem that guy or that girl Elizabeth, the school teacher? Let me know in the chat. Is she carrying around a ruler? Does she dress like that? Does she say she's a teacher? What are the stories here? Let me know. Don't you fool me, guys. We're talking about breweries. Yeah, breweries, distilleries, and vineyards that are all haunted, of course. That's why we're here. You came for the music, you stayed for the hauntings and funerals. Or you came for the funerals and you stayed for the music. How did you find me, by the way? Let me know in the chat. Did you come originally for the music? Or did you find me from a viral video on a social media platform? I would love to know. All right, we're at Wynkoop Brewery. This is obviously a micro brewery. All right, Denver, Colorado, which, by the way, Denver, Colorado yet has another, the funeral profession. It just had, not too long ago, a few months ago, 131 loved ones were found in a funeral home, and then now there's another young man who did something similar, and he's in trouble. He just got arrested for something uncremated, non-cremated loved ones, or cremated loved ones at his rental property that he was evicted from. He owned a funeral service that obviously couldn't keep up with its payments. Third-party cremation, is he didn't own the crematory, so he outsourced all of his cremations, and he got behind on a lot of the bills to them, so they wouldn't service him. So I guess he resorted to holding on to loved ones, and I don't know. The investigation continues, and it's sad. But we're here drinking right now in Colorado. All right, we are at this 125-year-old building, turn of the century architecture, hidden tunnels. There are hidden tunnels in a lot of different places. Do you have them in your area, in your town? Are you familiar with that? Let me know in the chat. One would be mistaken for thinking the original building was a speakeasy. However, the building was originally a simple mercantile that connected the tunnels to the train station in order to move supplies. Interesting, right? There's underground tunnels in downtown Owensboro. I was told this by a law enforcement friend that some kid was like running out of it's when the middle school was downtown, and they ran from the school and went and found these tunnels. Some of them they had already known about, but where they were, they did not. They found him, and they're like, holy crap, there's more underground tunnels. Anyway, back to the chlorophyll. Chlorophyll, more like borophyll. Let's see here. The strange noises, apparitions, ethereal wandering hands haunt the people who venture into the basement of the wind coop. Interesting. The main brewery floor also has its share of hauntings, namely for the ghost of a lady dressed in, not white, red. If you've followed my videos, like if you follow me on YouTube at Nathan Morris Music, we release videos and talk about this kind of stuff, and it's always a lady in white. It's been lately a monk. There's always a kid involved. I bet you $1,000 there's going to be a kid in this, because I have not pre-read this, by the way. I've been doing that the past few days. I'm sorry. Sue me. Okay, the proprietors of Denver's first craft brewery have often invited paranormal investigators and even started hosting tours for the public. So, let me know in the chat. Have you been to Wynkoop Brewery? Have you been to Denver? And if you have a haunted place by chance, or you think it's haunted, you should start charging for tours. Capitalism. Bowmore Distillery. Or is it Balmore? Balmore. Potato. We are talking about, haunted breweries, distilleries, and vineyards. All right, here we go. Whiskey with a variation of whiskey literally being named Scotch. It should come as no surprise that Scotland once again makes an appearance on the list. Of course it does. So this place was it's on the Isle of Islay. Interesting. So this was founded in the 1700s as well. This resident ghost shares similarities to the infamous haunt at Sleepy Hollow by merit of having a headless horseman. I still want to know, how in the world are these people without heads? It's going to tell me. It's going to tell me, guys. Okay. No, it's not. The spirit leaves behind an open bottle of whiskey from the distillery before taking off into the night. Interesting. Father recently passed away. People report headless horseman sightings often, in addition to other spirits, to this day at the Balmore Distillery. Interesting. I don't know what I would choose. Would you rather be haunted by a monk ghost? Like if you follow some of my previous, we're doing series right now on Battlefield. You have to watch it. Or a headless horseman. Let me know in the chat. Monk all day. Monk all day. And the reason is the same as it was when I first said it. Because I like to think that there's like an 86% chance that they're prayerful. And maybe we'll pray together, and then therefore it'll kind of subdue my anxieties. Let me know. Moon River Brewing. Not brewery, brewing. Yep. Let me know in the chat before we go on. Are you a beer connoisseur? Not connoisseur. Do you like beer? Do you like wine? Or do you like a whiskey or a bourbon? Or none? Nestled up against the South Carolina border and the Atlantic Ocean. Interesting. Okay, here we go. This is the seaside city for the Moon River Brewing Company. The building's stint began in 1999, by the way, because it first started as a hotel in 1821. In 1851, the building housed a lion exhibit, not just the exhibit, a live lion exhibit. Interesting. Okay, here we go. The establishment is filled with an unlucky gambler getting shot by a particularly accurate doctor. So it's the ghost of. Anyway, yellow fever victims, interesting. And then a spirit named Toby is known to push people. What a bully. Toby's a bully. Let me know in the chat. Do you... I don't know. If I'm going to be a ghost, I want them to misname me too. I want them to be like, that is Spencer, and he was an accountant. No. That one's not as fun. I'm sorry. Toby, this one should be just thrown from the list. I'm sorry if you're in the South Carolina area and you're a fan of Moon River. We're not a fan of this story. Sorry about that. Did I tell you that story, by the way? My friend, his friend, their fraternity. Okay. My friend's friend. All right. So they go together, my friend's friend, to visitation for their fraternity brother who died. So it's a young man, and they're in line, and they get up to the receiving of the deceased loved one's mother. My friend's friend goes up, looks at her, gets nervous, points to the loved one in the casket and says, "Sorry about that," and walks away. It's funny now. You don't have to say anything necessarily. Being present is most important. But don't do that, okay? Mansfield Winery, okay? Sommeliers. Do you know what a sommelier is? Sommelier? 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 Sommelier. Now I don't know what to say. They're the people that can... There's only a few hundred of like the highest that know where they... Look it up. They know the origination. They know what it tastes like, the smells. They can say where and how and what and all of that without seeing the bottle kind of thing. Could be sommelier. There you go. Look it up. So stupid. Okay, the Franco-Swiss winery. It was later renamed the Mansfield Winery, and it would be first established in 1876. And then a worker by the name of Lewis, 10 years later, actually became a bandit, which basically means that he stole from the company. He was fired, and yet the man felt as though he was slighted. I stole from you, I was punished, and it's your fault. As a result, he would get drunk, on wine no less, this is the bandit, purchase a gun, and get his revenge on the winery's owner's nephew. It is said that the nephew, a man by the name of Jules, wanders the property grounds as a spirit nowadays. He seems to have an intense hatred for lighting fixtures, and it's claimed that the owners have witnessed light bulbs, flashlights, lava lamps randomly explode after hearing disembodied voices. Now, I don't think that they would make up that happens. Let me know in the chat. Have you been there? Have you been to this place? Mansfield Winery? No, yes, maybe so? Let me know. No, yes, maybe so. I said, let me know. The Haunch of Venison is where we are in this moment in time. We're talking about, haunted breweries, distilleries, vineyards, boasting of, 700 years of operation is the Haunch of Venison's tenure. 700 years. Of course, it's riddled with ghosts. There's ghosts everywhere. All right. Located in the city of Salisbury, the Haunch of Venison allegedly also houses dozens of ghosts, of course, and every one of them have names. Okay. Knives float around and stand on end. I've actually heard that before, not at this place, but glassware floats around before getting smashed. I've heard that before. The mummified hand of an unlucky gambler disappearing and reappearing in random corners, kind of like it. And even the ghost of Winston Churchill making the rounds. Now, you can't mistake Winston Churchill. Like, you can definitely make him out. So if there's a ghost that looks like him, that's Winston. Let me know in the chat. Are you familiar with this place? Are you? Let me know in the chat also, have you pre-saved Greenback Boogie? Give me a thumbs up if you have. And please do so. You could pre-save it on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen, and then you can listen to it everywhere at midnight. Buffalo Trace Distillery. That's in our neck of the woods, people who are in Kentucky. Yep, the reputation of this place. Do you like Buffalo Trace? It's located in the capital of Frankfurt. It is founded in 1792. This business was successful enough to get a special permit to make whiskey, bourbon whiskey. During the height of the Prohibition, it was considered medicinal. So it was able to continue to make it during the Prohibition. That's very interesting. I did not know that. Interesting. So they say that the company's president, Colonel Albert Blanton, is hell-bent on making sure that the distillery's quality is still airtight. This man, the ghost of, is routinely witnessed stalking the actual distillery warehouse. Light flickers at the real footsteps. All of this is reported. Interesting. People will sometimes report hearing pieces of advice regarding brewing from behind them without anyone actually being present. I've gotten many distillery tours. They're really captivating, interesting, and I love the history of. So someone who poured their heart and soul into the thriving of the quality of a business. I don't know. Let me know in the chat. What are your thoughts? Do you think that Albert's over there wandering around saying you're not doing this right, Master Distiller? Chateau de Brissac. Brissac? Bridget? Don't know. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's a French word. Brissac? Anyone know French? It was built as a medieval castle originally. It had a major renovation in the 15th century. Let's see what else. To this day, though, there was an affair. Jacques, he, in a rage fit, murdered the two people. One, his spouse. To this day, the spirit known as the Green Lady. We got the Lady in Red. Lady in Red, Lady in Red. That's how the thing goes. They got the Green Lady, and she floats around, believed to be Charlotte herself. She appears beautifully dressed until one can get a closer look to see the ghost of a shambling, eyeless corpse. Let me know in the chat. What would you do? I've been thinking a lot. Like when I say things, I think in song. You know the song, what would you, what would you, what would you do? Anyway, last but not least, I know this has been just riddled with excitement and fun, listening to the breweries, distilleries, vineyards, haunted places all across the globe. Kilbeggan is Ireland's oldest continuously operating whiskey distillery, 1757. And of course, it obviously survived the Prohibition, and this prompted a dramatic history of underground brewing, bootlegging, and even a few whiskey rationing laws in the 1900s. During this time, the distillery is massively successful, and not to be outdone by the drama of actual history, many dramatic claims of poltergeist activity. There's a black-robed ghost of a monk, told you, frightens the grounds, and then frightens guests. Matthias himself has been witnessed wandering the distillery, the original owner, as well as his son John. After all, the son's death was by no means peaceful. He was executed for participating in the United Irishmen's Rebellion. My goodness. You've got owners, former owners' sons, monks, all wrapped up in this story. There's been a lot of stories as late with regard to monks. You don't hear much about vampires anymore. Vampires used to just wander the world, and now you just have monks. Let me know in the chat, what are your thoughts on all of this that I talk about? Cheers to you. You like that? Appreciate everybody subscribing to the subscribers only Bonus Noise podcast, releasing every single week. It's the show after the show of You'll Die Trying, and that's every week as well. I'm just grateful that I'm able to create, and whatever I do create that I find to be passionate about, that you appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Thanks for supporting everything. And also, be sure to pre-save Greenback Boogie. Available everywhere at midnight. You can pre-save it down below. Thanks for allowing me to share my cousin's story. And I know that it's important for you to know that you're worth it, that you'll be remembered for something. So do good, choose good, be kind, and please rewind. Blockbuster. Thanks for being here, everybody. I will talk to you very soon. Adios. My foot's asleep. Oh no.